That I just put a tablespoon. If you're following along with your thing, you can just follow along with what I'm putting in there. So now the next thing we need is our flour.
La próxima,
Oh my, Tara's putting ingredients. Sorry. Okay, we need a tablespoon of that. Now, one thing I've learned is you never measure your salt over your thing here.
No, miren
You got it ever cooked before?
no, miren la sal arriba de ahí.
Never do that, because you know what's always going to happen, right? You're going to pour, and then all of a sudden it's going to come out like a big old clump or something, and it's going to fall in there, and then you're totally upset.
Porque luego se les vienen los que están amontonadas, la sal que está grumosa, y entonces se cae ahí y ya queda más salado.
Okay, so we're putting 1 tablespoon of salt, okay?
Una cucharada de sal.
Table.
No, it's a tablespoon.
Es
Table, because it's 3 cups.
Es sopera, no es de té.
It's about a teaspoon per loaf, so we're making 3 loaves, so follow along with 3,
Para
not the
cada
much.
barra es de té, una de té. Entonces, como están haciendo 3, le pone una de sopera.
Okay, now we need okay, so now I'm going to show you guys. Here's our flour.
Aquí está la harina. Bien rápido. Let me show.
Yeah, I'm going to let you show it. Just
Look.
Wow.
Very easy.
So you can see it's actually very light in color.
Es bien, el color está muy bajito.
So it's actually a little different than the whole wheat that you see in the store.
Es
It's a little
diferente
lighter in
de
color
la que
because
ven
it's
en
white
la
whole.
tienda. Porque es blanco porque estamos utilizando el grano blanco.
Okay, so now we're going to start adding our flour. Now when we make this, we add about half the flour in our recipe, we put it in first, okay? So what that's going to be is we're going to go with 8 to 10 cups. So I'm going to put about 4 to 5 cups in there, and then I'm just going to start mixing.
Le va a poner la mitad de lo que dice ahí primero para empezar a mezclarla.
I just kind of stir it up a little bit because some of it gets kind of clumpy on the bottom.
Lo mezclo un poco porque como que se apachurra lo de abajo.
Okay. So now what I want you to do while I'm doing this is I'm going to actually turn the mixer on. Are you going to talk while I have the mixer on? Mm-hmm. That's what you're going to do? Okay. If everybody wants, if you can go row by row, I want you to just kind of walk by and I want you to look inside here so you can see what it looks like. So that way you can kind of get an idea of the dough hook. That's what this thing is right here. This is called a dough hook. This is what feeds my bread.
Van a venir línea por línea a asomarse a ver cómo está quedando la harina. Porque esto, what is this?
It's called a dough hook.
Es el gancho de la harina.
It mixes the dough.
Que mezcla la harina. Ok, entonces pasen a verlo poco a poco cuando se esté mezclando.
That will mix it. Yeah, and that's fine. It's just the one that I have.
Bate y amasa.
Okay, now there are different kinds. Let me just explain a little bit about this because she just explained that she has a different machine at home. You just mentioned to me yesterday that you have a bread maker that will knead the dough. It just depends that you can make probably 1 loaf with that. Okay, so it just depends on what you want to do. They do have bread machines out there where you can put the bread in there and it'll knead it for you and bake it. Those I think are okay. They seem to work good for people. I personally never like the way the bread turns out. It just never seems to turn out very good for me. And I like to do a lot more experimenting. I like to use my bread for many other things.
Probablemente alguien ya tiene una máquina en la casa o hacen la máquina de pan que hace de 1 por 1 los barras de pan. A ella no le gusta cómo sale ese tipo, por eso ella tiene y además pueden hacer más cantidad con esta.
They have different machines though, like KitchenAid. They have a mixer like this. Okay, but they will only handle a few loaves at a time because of the nature of the motor. It's not as strong. So just look with something that has about a 700 horsepower motor. Will give you the best output. So I can make 6 loaves of bread with this at a time.
Dice que con esa máquina pueden hacer 6 barras de pan porque tiene 700 caballos de fuerza. 7 caballos de fuerza. 7 caballos de fuerza.
It just doesn't hold up. Not only that, but this machine, it's called a Bosch Universal. It looks a little different now. They've changed the style of it. This is an older style.
Let's ask how much they pay to announce it.
We can tell them. We'll tell them. This machine, this one costs about, how much was it? It's $350, I believe.
Eso cuesta como $350.
Yes,
Es la Bosch, la máquina
Now,
Bosch.
this is also a machine. This is not just a small investment. This is something where it's going to last you for 30 years. Most
No
people,
es
the
un-
average lifespan is 20 years on these things.
No es una inversión muy pequeña, es una inversión grande de $350, pero que le va a durar más de 30 años.
So you're making it, when you buy these two pieces of material, you are making an investment in your health for the long run. This isn't something you're buying at Walmart that's going to break in a year. Because I don't know about you guys, everything I buy at Walmart breaks in a year.
No es algo que compran en Walmart y se quiebra en un año, se descompone en un año.
It'll hold, this will hold somewhere between 10 to 15 pounds of dough at a time.
Eso va a tener como de 10 a 15 libras de harina al mismo tiempo. Les va a hacer 6 barras de pan.
Okay. So the point is that there are different machines, but you just have to choose what you want. But this is the one I went with because I found that it was going to give me the most low maintenance, easy to produce. I can make a lot at a time, and I can freeze half of it, so I have bread whenever I want it. That kind of thing.
A ella le gusta ese porque puede hacer mucho pan, congelarlo y luego ir sacándolo dependiendo de cuando quiera comer pan.
That makes sense? So anyway, I added them both up, and both, if you buy both of these, it's $600. That's pretty much
Si
what it is.
compran los dos van a ser como $600.
So that's just, if you choose to do that, you can also research and look for other machines.
Pero pueden investigar y buscar otro tipo de máquinas.
These are the two that I found that I like the most. And it also, you can buy it with a blender, very inexpensively when it comes to this. This thing works almost just like a Vitamix. It's just not as big.
Eso
Very strong and powerful.
la licuadora es bien fuerte, se parece a la Vitamix.
I can do pretty much anything like a Vitamix would do, and my motor will not wear out.
Y puede hacer cualquier cosa que hace con
I
la
put it to the
Vitamix
test.
y el motor no pasa nada.
I grind some crazy stuff and the whole machine's shaking, but it blends it. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So let's go ahead and add.
Cosa, ahí está la máquina temblando, pero no pasa nada.
This is 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna add 5. Now the point is that we're adding our flour and then we're gonna put our yeast on top because now I start with a little bit warmer bread or warmer water.
5 de esas tazas de harina y luego arriba le pone la levadura.
Okay, and then I'm putting 2 tablespoons of yeast on top of the flour because my water was probably around 115 to 117 degrees if you want to write that down.
El agua va a estar a 150 o 170 grados.
Okay. So it's pretty much warm to the touch. I have a thermometer at home.
115.
115 o
115 to 117 degrees.
115. 17.
115 y 117. Va a estar como tibia al toque. Lo tocan y va a estar tibiecita, no va a estar
I
fría.
forgot a key thing, which is a thermometer. It's like a little thermometer. It has a little thing on the top, which will tell you how much things like how hot or cold, and it's really good for the bread at the end to measure it. But that was the one thing I forgot. Sorry.
Se le olvidó el termómetro que tiene que meter dentro del agua y ahí le dice cómo está.
Okay, so now I want everybody just to kind of walk around real fast. We don't want to take a whole lot of time. I just want you to look at what it looks like, and I'm going to start mixing it, and I want you to get an idea because when I talk about the most important thing about this is that it's going to start pulling from the sides as I keep adding flour, but I want you to see what it looks like, okay?
Pasando al mismo
Que
tiempo.
vayan pasando,
Por
vayan
fila,
pasando,
por línea.
fila, a ver cómo está quedando.
So just kind of start passing through, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen. Go ahead, you can just keep walking. I just want you to look at what it looks like.
Pero quiero que vean cómo está quedando.
Water and oil.
Smells good. Oh, you have to be doing that, or you can put it like it.
No, I'm just mixing the
I
flour
know,
into
but
the
do you
mixture.
have to be doing it, or can you just set and let
Oh,
it?
it will. I'm just giving it, pulsing it to mix it in. Okay, so everyone just come in if you want to see real quick, and then we're just going to keep mixing, and then Rob's going to keep talking.
Van a seguir mezclando y él va a seguir hablando.
Go ahead and look. So you can see it's already mixing. So I pulse it in first. Hello.
Okay, looking at the dough as it's mixing, which is a very important part of the bread making process. We're going to talk about more ingredients.
Mientras ven lo de la harina, cómo está quedando la mezcla de la harina, vamos a hablar la masa. ¿Sí? Qué bueno que viste el uso de verdad. respeto. Ese es pan de
Okay, come
verdad.
on. We'll do all that later. I just want you to look in the dough.
Plastic bread.
Esta es la semilla.
They're not plastic. I promise they're real.
Estos
We're
son
gonna
tres.
taste that in a
La
little
que está
bit.
usando es
La
esta.
van a probar más tarde.
Okay,
Pero
guys, I
son
need
tres
everyone to come
diferentes de
through and look at
trigo.
this.
Pero ahorita ya quiere
We're
que...
gonna talk about all that stuff later. We'll let you come and look. I just want you to look in the bowl right now. Because if I keep this going, it's gonna turn out wrong. I should sell it, huh?
So we've talked about flour and water. What's another ingredient that's
Ya
key
hablamos
for
de la
bread?
harina y del agua. ¿Cuál es otro ingrediente? Aceite.
Okay, oil. What else?
¿Qué otro ingrediente?
I put milk in mine.
What else?
Leche.
That's it.
Yeast en la levadura.
Not good for everybody though. Cashew nuts. I love the mushrooms. I love the mushrooms.
I know how to make bread.
I ran into
Okay,
you.
so as we talk about bread today, the 4 basic ingredients that you need around the world to make bread are those 4 right there.
Los 4 ingredientes básicos alrededor del mundo para hacer pan son estos de aquí. Harina, agua, sal y levadura.
If you make bread in China, in India, in South America, in Russia, you need those 4 ingredients.
En cualquier parte de India, Sudamérica, China, Rusia, van a necesitar estos 4 ingredientes.
You can also put in oil, you can also put in sugar, you can also put in milk.
Pueden poner, además de esos 4 ingredientes, estos son básicos y con estos sale el pan. Pero aparte pueden poner todos los demás que quieran. Pueden poner aceite, azúcar, leche, huevos.
You can put in all kinds of stuff.
Toda clase de cosas, molaza, miel, pasas, uvas pasas y naranjas. Cualquier cosa, pero estos son lo que necesitan nomás para hacer el
The
pan.
4 basic ingredients are right here.
Estos son los básicos, ingredientes básicos.
So we've talked about flour, we've talked about water. Let's talk about yeast.
Hablamos de la harina, del agua, pero vamos a hablar de la levadura.
Now I heard somebody ask about these bread machines that do it all. You put in the ingredients and then 3 hours later, voila, you have a baked loaf of bread.
Alguien me preguntó de las máquinas esas que ponen todos los ingredientes y 3 horas después ahí está el pan.
I probably put
Those are
about,
great machines. I have one myself, but they are limited. They only can do bread.
Son unas máquinas muy buenas, pero son limitadas. Nomás pueden hacer una barra de pan.
But they did do a lot of things for the home baker.
Pero hacen muchas cosas para el que le gusta hornear en casa.
Number 1, they gave you bread flour.
Le da pan de harina.
And bread flour is higher in gluten,
Tiene mucha proteína, gluten,
which is a protein that gives the flour strength.
y que le da el gluten es la proteína que le da fuerza a la harina.
The other thing they did was they gave you instant dried yeast.
También te dan la levadura instantánea, seca instantánea.
Or IDY.
O
Instant dried yeast. The other one, 10 years ago, they had ADY. What does ADY mean?
Hace 10 años usaban
Active dry yeast. And what is the difference between ADY and IDY?
¿Cuál es la diferencia entre la instantánea y la activa?